starting our second principle. And the second principle, and families struggle with at first until we really explain it, it's limbic brains harmonize. So those are some big words. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what that means?
Well, it means that in the end, everybody in the family is going to come together and they're going to have an emotional experience together. When somebody in the family is feeling sad, it means that the rest of the family is eventually going to have to deal with that sad. Happy, same thing. Super happy, the family's going to absorb that and they're going to feel that fear with that person. And that happy. And of course, fear is the killer. Mm-hmm. It means that when someone is feeling fearful or stressed, that the entire family is going to, in some way, shape, or form, accommodate that feeling and share that feeling with that person.
So when we started this writing about this principle, and I did the research, and it's actually called Limbic Resonance, mm-hmm. where our brains will share emotion, that they're kind of contagious, will harmonize, synchronize mm-hmm. with other people's brains.
The first example, of course, is when a baby is just born. Mm-hmm. And it's howling, it's crying, it's in a cold, loud, harsh, light world. Yeah. And we lay it up on mom, and of course mom is sitting there feeling, oh, at last, look, he's so cute, he's so wonderful. Uh-huh. And the baby calms. Yeah. The baby actually synchronizes or harmonizes with mom's feeling.
Mm-hmm. Right. In those researches about if you're in medical testing, how much better you are if your loved one is holding your hand. That presence, they can help you calm during those periods of time.
Of course, this principle is evident in folklore with the happy wife, happy life idea, and it's true. When you're in these families, you guys, we're all going to harmonize. We're going to feel the same things together.
I know we've worked with a lot of families where one of the parents is depressed, mm-hmm. and how that changes the family system. Yeah.
Our brains are designed to share emotion. Mm-hmm. Our bodies are set up to transmit that sharing. Mm-hmm. Outside of the family, one example of it is the mob mentality. Mm-hmm. When emotions are running high and you're in a crowd and some people decide to step over the line, there's a part of you that feels
just drawn.
Pulled.
Yeah, you're drawn in, and it's not a thinking brain thing. You mm-hmm. just like you wake up and say, "Why did I do that?"
No, it's just limbic, and mm-hmm. the design reaches its fulfillment, I think, in a family unit. Mm-hmm. It becomes this harmonization becomes the vehicle by which we teach emotional regulation to our children, ideally. Yeah. Now there are things that get in the way.
Yeah.
Of that. Well, usually, a lot of fear. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mental illness, drug addiction, basically things that make a parent or the adult in the system unable to regulate, ends up causing fear for the child that can't be harmonized with the adult. Or when it is harmonized, it's harmonized or always a way around fear.
That would be really scary for a child. Yeah. To have an adult in that world. Mm-hmm. Under just normal families, there's the typical stresses, deadlines, tests, changes in schedules and things like that. That, if dad is going in for some kind of medical test, mm-hmm. everybody's afraid.
Everybody's a little tense.
Just like he's mm-hmm. afraid, we'll be afraid. Mm-hmm. Or, the parents who know their child's getting ready to take an SAT. They're going to start feeling the same fear that their child does.
Depression, mm-hmm. adult depression. It's important for this principle states it's important to recognize the impact of that on the family system.
Right.
If you're not going to deal with the depression, if you're not going to take the time to get yourself in other parts of your brain or find strategies to do that, mm-hmm. be they medical or private, it's important to understand that you will have an impact on all the people in your family.
And then I'm also thinking of the morning person who's up and cheerful in the morning.
Ah, exactly.
And the one who says, shh, I don't get up till 9 o'clock. Be quiet. You know?
Biological differences in our time. How do those people harmonize? You know, and they will. This principle says they will in one shape or form. Either they'll do it cooperatively and recognizing the differences and that they're going to have to find a way to live with it, or they do it unintentionally, usually with a lot of anger and arguing, fighting.
Yeah. So we know our limbic brains harmonize, that families are going to share emotions, but there's also this, I don't know if the right word is caveat, of when we add a traumatized child into our family, it kind of, the principle is still there, but it goes haywire.
Well, there are some things that early trauma causes in a child, and one of the most devastating is an inability to harmonize with that adult, or to harmonize only with fear. Things like mental illness cause a baby to fear all the time.
Right.
Therefore, what the child's brain learns is a connection to an adult means to be afraid.
And that adult is always unpredictable. You know, right now they may be loving and caretaking, and another couple hours or not. You know, that leads me to thinking about the clients we've worked with addictions. That parent is a different parent in a couple hours and another day or another week. So this baby doesn't have that same experience of, like you described earlier, being put on mom's chest, mom's calm, mom calms the baby, so which is called a co-regulatory experience. But this child, infant, they can't co-regulate with an adult.
Exactly. If the adults can't, for whatever reason, co-regulate, even when you think about drug use, if a child comes home happy and wants to share, I've just passed this test, I've just had a great day at school, and the parent kind of looks at him going, yeah, I hear you, well, that's an inability to regulate. That's going to feel like rejection, and what ends up happening is it teaches that child's brain that they can't harmonize with the adult. And of course, children in abusive and neglectful situations, they learn the next step, which is they have to make that adult harmonize with them. I have to stress that adult or cause that adult to feel my fear so that they'll respond to my needs and I can get my needs taken care of.
Yeah, I remember one kid saying to me, you just don't know what it was like when I was always trying to get my parent to wake up and take care of me. This kid was so angry, and that became her means to connect with this parent, was to constantly irritate. It was just this drive in her.
And this principle is going to be present in your family. So when you bring a traumatized child in who can't regulate with you, they're going to be driven to get you to regulate with them, to harmonize on them. That's where we see the families that, we used to be so happy, so fun-loving, we used to do this. Now all we do is yell at each other and scream. That's because the family system harmonized on the traumatized child, as opposed to their original goal was to get the child to harmonize with them. I call it the pump running backwards.
Yeah, and for me, it gives me a visual instead of, I think of the old-timey pumps and the water's coming out. It's like, no, this kid's driving their water into.
They're driving their water into. And the family system, because this principle is a principle, you can't ignore it. What ends up happening is the entire system begins to have the emotional world of the traumatized child.
And I thinking back to how you started conceptualizing these principles, and we knew it when we walked into a family, a brand new family, and you could see the pump running the other way. You could see it. You could feel it in there.
It's really weird because the negative things start getting shared immediately with everybody.
That's right.
And the positive things just go nowhere because the pump's not running in that direction.
Right. I remember a psychiatrist that said to a mom, you can come in and tell me 2 things that your kid's done. You cannot come in and just, this flow of bad behaviors. That we we know it, we see it. You know, that mom was harmonizing with her child, and just all this negativity was flowing. So back to the traumatized child will get you to harmonize with them. So there's a couple reasons that this child isn't able to harmonize with an adult. We've labeled them as, one, the loss of the caregiver. If there's no adult to harmonize with,
there are a couple of things that encourage the child not to harmonize with the adult.
okay.
What their brain learns to do is that's an unsafe circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So their brain learns to instead harmonize. The principle still works, but they do it the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is to get the parent to feel their fear.
Okay. So we have caregivers who can't regulate themselves, or they're absent, and so the child doesn't have someone to come to, or the adult is dysregulated, and the child learned, don't go near that person. And how many times we've worked with kids who lived totally in unsafe environment.
And then we bring them into these safe homes.
Yeah.
And the safe homes don't become unsafe.
No.
But it feels, the emotional climate in the home mimics the unsafe home.
Yeah. And then lastly, I think of the number of placements that some of our kids have had. You know, it's like their system is shut down.
Yeah.
I cannot regulate with another adult.
Well, the system would teach them. Why should I learn to
Right.
regulate with this person when they're going to be out of my life? They're just temporary.
Yeah.
So, you know, multiple placements is a very difficult thing to overcome for children when it comes to connecting and co-regulating or feeling the emotions of the family. We just, our system sometimes just teaches them not to do it.
Right. So this first principle, limbic brains harmonize, is a normal process, but it can become very abnormal, especially when you have now added a traumatized child into your home. It's still gonna work.
It's going to function. That's the nature of a principle.
But it's not going to be a pleasant function.
It's going to function to our detriment instead of our success.
Well, hopefully the next few videos will give us some positives on this one.
Well, we're going to look at what it looks like when we come in. The next one we'll look at what it looks like when we come into a system that's not recognizing and positively utilizing this. And then our video after that, in theory, will be
the positive part.
The positive part.
Because it does sound really scary to start harmonizing with the traumatized child.
It is if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, there's that word intentionality too. Well, thank you very much.